my name is Abhishek and welcome back to MBBS Treasure channel. Before starting today's topic, I am going to provide an important information regarding my YouTube channel. I have created a new Telegram group in the name of MBBS Treasure, and I have created this to help you because as I am creating videos in a serial wise manner, like how you are going to prepare before each class. So I thought of making a group so that I can share the informations in a single message provided with the links of my videos, and I will also be providing important document files for each class, what you need to read and what you need to prepare. Also I will provide some important document files for preparing KROK. So I think that this group will help you in the whole semester and as well as in year. So I will be providing the link of my Telegram group in the name of MBBS Treasure in my description box. So I hope you all will join that group. Okay, so let's start our today's topic. So today's topic is immunological reactivity. In my previous video, I have already discussed what is resistance and what is reactivity and why the organisms tend to have these kind of properties inside them, because they need to survive in the changing environmental factors or the changing or the causing pathogenic factors. Okay, so in this video today we are also going to read one type of the reactivity. And what is that reactivity? Yes, we are going to read the immunological reactivity. Okay, so before starting the immunological reactivity, we are going to define what do you mean by immunological reactivity. Suppose a body of an organism is reacting to an antigen, and that response will be known as immunological reactivity. Immunological reactivity means it is the ability of an organism to defend the body itself from the antigen, and that is a specific reactivity. As I have already discussed the types of reactivity, it can be innate, it can be acquired, it can be specific, non-specific. In a similar manner, this reactivity of our organisms will be specific. And how it will be specific? It will be specific because our body will produce antibody or the complex cellular reactions. These are nothing but the reactivity factors or the factors that will help us to prevent the antigenic functions, or it will help us to defend against the antigens. Okay, so from these things you know that antigen is not good for our body because it is a external factor, or it is an external pathological factor that will harm our body. In response to that, our body will try to produce such reactivity factors through which our body can defend the antigen, and those reactivity factors are nothing but this antibody and complex cellular reactions. So as we defined the immunological reactivity, we should know what are the mechanisms through which this immunological reactivity occurs. There are two mechanisms of the immunological reactivity, like first one is the humoral reaction and second one is the cellular reactions. Yes, these two are the reactions of the immunological reactivity term through which our body will defend against the antigen. How? First, as we said, it will produce the antibody. So the first action of the humoral reaction is to produce the antibodies, and antibodies are nothing but immunoglobulins. As we have studied in primary classes, that antibodies are the proteins that are produced against the antigens, and this is nothing but the humoral reactions, and it will be produced in the blood because the antibodies are nothing but the immunoglobulins, and immunoglobulins are the proteins that are formed by the globulin proteins or the globulin blood proteins. So that is the reason why it is known as humoral reaction. Secondly, what will happen, as the antigen will present inside the body and the cell will also react against it, so the reaction provided by the cells is known as cellular reaction, and it is mostly provided by the T cells. These are the cells or the immunity cells of our body that will be causing the action against the antigen. Humoral reaction and cellular reactions, when these reactions are produced, when there will be extracellular bacteria acting upon our body, or bacteria or viruses will acting upon our body, then the humoral reactions get activated mostly. And when there will be intracellular infections inside the cell, when there will be mycosis, vermin or tumor like cells producing continuously differentiating and dividing cells, when that condition will appear, then our body will try to show this cellular kind of reaction. Okay, as these all are a type of antigen to our body. Next comes, what do you mean by antigen? As we are continuously speaking about antigen, then we should know what is an antigen. Antigen is something that will produce the immunological reaction. Yes, it is a something, it can be anything, but it should produce this immunological reaction. If it produces the immunological reactions like these two reactions, then the factor that is causing this immunological reaction will be said as antigen. Okay. According to antigens, antigens are divided two types. One is thymic dependent and second one is thymic independent. How you will remember this? Listen, thymic dependent and thymic independent. Thymic means it includes the thymus, and thymic independent means it do not include the thymus. Thymus is an organ that is present in our body that helps in dividing and differentiation or maturation of only T cells, and this if the thymic or the thymus will be included during the immunological reaction, then it will be said as thymus dependent, and if the thymus will not be included during the immunological reaction, then it will be known as thymic independent reactions. As the thymus is responsible for the maturation or increasing in number or maturation of T cells, so mostly the antigens are divided according to the T cells. Okay, so if T cells are not involved, then thymic independent. If including T cells, B cells and macrophages are involved, then it is known as thymic dependent type of antigens. Okay. So let's now read about the types of cells that will perform these immunological reactions. Now we just read about there are two kinds of immunological reactions. One will be humoral reaction and second one will be cellular reactions. The cells that will perform these actions will come under this immunological reactions, like the cell of the B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and macrophages. So the B lymphocytes is responsible for forming these humoral reactions, and the T lymphocyte is responsible for forming this cellular type of reactions, whereas the macrophages help in cooperating these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes in their actions. Okay, so it can be said as it's an accessory cell for helping these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Okay, what is the function of B lymphocytes? The function of B lymphocytes is to make the antibodies. Antibodies are nothing but the immunoglobulins or the proteins that will be formed against the antigens. Okay, so how these antibodies are produced, when in which process these antibodies are produced? The antibodies are not produced directly from the B lymphocytes, rather it has to undergo certain process through which and then further it will be producing the antibodies. Like when the antigen comes to our body, the receptors present in the B lymphocytes will get activated, and the B lymphocytes will get converted to lymphoblasts. Lymphoblasts are nothing but the blast cells or the stem cells that will be producing more number of B lymphocytes. Okay, as the lymphoblast will divide, so it will produce more number of lymphoblasts, B lymphocytes, and this B lymphocytes will get differentiated to form this plasmocytes. Okay, so the process of transformations from the lymphoblast to plasmocytes is known as blast cell transformation. It is an important question that most of our teachers ask the questions. Okay, they will ask you that what is blast cell transformation. So blast cell transformation is the transformation of blastic cells of lymphocyte to form the plasmocytes. What do you mean by plasmocytes? Plasmocyte is a form of B lymphocytes, or it is the active form of B lymphocytes that will produce the antibodies. Okay, so in short, these are the antibodies that will be formed after the plasmocytes are formed, because the plasmocytes will release these antibodies into the blood system. Okay, in short form you can remember it's like MACD. Okay, IgM, IgA, IgG, IgD and IgE. Okay, so these are the 5 kinds of antibodies that are produced in our body. Next comes the T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes are 4 types of cells. It has 4 types of cells, including like T killer cell, T helper cells, T killer cell, T helper cell, T suppressor cell and T producer of lymphokines. T killer cells, as the word says, it will kill the antigens, or it will have the effect on the antigens. It will be cytotoxic in reactivity. Then T helper means it will cooperate with the other cells of T lymphocytes or with the B lymphocytes in defending the body from the antigen. T suppressor means it will suppress or oppress the reaction of immunological reactions. It means that a certain condition will, a certain time period of our body will reach, in which the body will try to stop the immunological reaction. At that very moment, the T suppressor cells will get activated to suppress the immunological reactions. Okay, T producer of lymphokines. It is one more kind of T effector cells that will produce the biologically active substances like the lymphokines. These lymphokines, or the activity of T killer cells, will help us to prevent the having disease conditions that will be produced by the antigens. Okay, so T lymphocytes will help in producing this cellular kind of reactions, that is known as cellular immunological reactions. Next comes the macrophage. Macrophage is nothing but a cell. As I have said before, it will analyze, cooperate. It will analyze that what kind of antigen is coming, whether I need to give the antigen to T cell or B cell, so that there will be differentiation of reactions that will be produced by our body. So it will analyze that whether I should give the antigen to B cell or T cell. That is known as analysis. Then it will cooperate. Cooperate means it will help with the B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes to produce their own actions, and it will present, as I have said, it presents the antigen to T cells and B cells. Okay, so this reaction, as I have said, it is nothing but the humoral reactions. Now comes the cellular reactions. Cellular reactions and the thymic dependent reaction. Thymic dependent reactions means there will be inclusion of T cell, B cells and macrophages. How it occurs? Listen, T cells, B cells and macrophages, these 3 cells will produce each of their actions to defend against antigen. How? when the antigen will come, first of all, the macrophage will have the receptor on its membrane, okay, so that it can catch the antigen and it can receive the antigen. This process is known as reception. And after receiving, what will happen? There will be a formation of this antigen determinant on the membrane of macrophage. This structure will form on the membrane of the macrophage. Why this structure will form? Because this structure will be known to the T helper cell, because the T helper can never directly understand what kind of antigen is coming to him, but the T helper can recognize this determinant form of the membrane. Okay, so the T helper will recognize this total structure of antigen with the macrophage. Okay, so this process is known as cooperation. Then what will happen? After this cooperation, there will be transmission. The T helper will provide the same message to another immunity cell, that is known as B lymphocytes. As we have said, these three cells will act together. So the macrophage will act, the T cell will act, and finally the B cell will act. As the B cell will act, it will produce the corresponding or the specific antibodies against the antigen. Okay. Next comes that when these cellular reactions occur, at this very moment you can see I have written one more step, or interlinking space step, that is that if this process occurs similar manner till the T helper cell, after that if the cell need to produce the reaction in response to antigen, so what will happen? It will further activate the T effector cells. What are these T effector cells? These are nothing but the T killer cells and T producer cells. T killer cells will produce its cytotoxic activity and T producer cells will produce the lymphokines. They are nothing but the biologically active substances, and both of them will produce their separate actions on the antigen, and that will help us to produce the cellular reaction. So this is the way how the cellular reaction is formed, and the B cell responsible for the humoral reaction and T cell responsible for the cellular reaction. Okay, so this was all about our today's topic, that we read about the immunological reactivity. In my next video, I am going to discuss about the disorder of immunological reactivity. This is nothing but a normal explanation or a normal function of the reactivity provided by our immunity cells. Next, we are going to read if there will be any kind of disorder relating to this, what kind of pathology we will get. Okay, so this was all about our today's topic. If you find this helpful, please like, share and subscribe.